Hey guys, welcome back to the Quotidian podcast, the podcast where we'll be grinding Destiny every day, son. I am Grindhead Jim. With me, as always, is the Ripper, Grant Beard, and Bennett Fiasco. How you guys doing?
Hello.
There we go.
Well, guys, not to bury the lead here, but they revealed Prison of Elders today, and I'm still not sure what the fuck I watched. But it certainly is something that we've been anticipating hotly since we were told that there is no raid. Everyone, the internet exploded. Oh, there's no raid, motherfucker. But we have been softened that blow over time by seeing how good the Trials of Osiris is, how the loot system is going to work, your upgrade system is going to work. And just when I thought, okay, great, I've got all this loot and all this gear ready to go, a couple things have happened that are making me cry. In a good way. Tears of joy, mind you. But it's still like, really? Just when I thought I had a handle on this, when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. What happens? What happened?
I didn't ask for this.
I did, actually. But still. So I made the Warlock. That's awesome in and of itself. It depleted almost all of my resources for upgrades that I had been hoarding. But it was well worth it. I love having another playstyle, and I'm like, okay, she's a 31. I've got gear. I'm in really good shape. I'm ready to go, and we're just going to kind of grind as usual till the DLC drops, and I have plans to get everyone up to 34 relatively quickly, move forward, you name it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we do the Nightfalls last night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, between that and a couple other Vanguard drops, I also did a Vault of Glass all in one day, and I got like 5 pieces of armor to upgrade, but it kind of like the middle of it, like the kind of thing that where you kind of feel like you've reached the point of no return. I finished Vault of Glass where I'd just gotten 2 pairs of gauntlets and 1 helmet, which, by the way, the Vex helmet looks amazing on a Warlock. It's a shame it doesn't have a better roll, but it's neither here nor there. I go straight to the Nightfall where Bennett and Grant have been grinding for quite some time. Because the Nightfall was whipping their butt at first. I think it's the same way. If you go into Nightfall first thing in the day, you're fucked for at least 2 tries. There's no way around that, I think.
Listen. It wasn't kicking our ass. It's a Nightfall. You gotta wipe at the end once. It's just how it works.
It's pretty much tradition, at least for C4DC.
That is.
This time it wasn't Jim that did it.
Hey, I only did that once. Only once. But it was epic. I guess I should tell that story. Short version. The Nightfall was Sepix Prime, and you guys know how at the end you've got the tank, and then between the tank and Sepix himself, there's a relatively short, zigzagging hallway. And I tend to rush for Sepix Prime because I don't want to get ganked in that traversal, because it's easy to get ganked. I made it past the mobs, I get up, and I wait at the end of the hallway where the stairs are. I honestly waited. But I don't know if I stepped just one step too far forward into the hallway. I wasn't even at the edge of the door. The door starts to open. I start to see a fucking Dreg. And then, boom, I get shot in the head, die, we wipe, go back to space.
Yep.
Back to orbit. And I'm like, what? Yeah. How did that even, like, whether that was a glitch, whether that was like something built in to punish me for being ahead of my group, I don't know, because I've never tried it again. But it did happen. And I guess last night they had wiped, so it was like their second or third try. But they had just gotten to the Archon Priest. I jump in just in time for us to clear the second wave of enemies prior to the Priest landing. Priest lands. We all take him out very quickly with nothing but icebreakers in about, 15 seconds, maybe? He didn't even leave the pad. And then immediately win and run off the bat. I get the red what's-its-fuck pistol from
Red Hand 9 from
the
New Monarchy.
And it just, boop, here it is. And it's an amazing roll with explosive rounds. And both of you were basically, fuck you. Because I just kind of...
Yeah, I think I got, like, strange coins.
Yeah.
Yep, he got 10 strange coins.
Still the first part of it, you fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
I got I got shards during that Vault of Glass run. I got shards.
Here's the shit of it. We go immediately into the next Nightfall run. This time I'm running with Alice, my main Titan. What do I get the second run through? Another fucking Red Hand 9 with a different role, and then I'm like sitting here like going, oh, what am I going to do? Which one do I want to keep? And then for a second I was really serious about making this horrible decision about gear. And it's like...
Hashtag first world problems.
Exactly.
Shit, hashtag virtual world problems. Like, who cares? I did end up keeping the first one. I'm really blessed. I'm not sure what they did with the patch or if we're just lucky this week or what's going on, but I've been pretty lucky with drops. More so than I've been in recent weeks, so I'm grateful for it. It's cool, I've got stuff to do, but I don't have any fucking materials to upgrade, whereas before, no matter what I got, if I wanted to upgrade it, I knew the materials were there. Now I'm having to manage my money and my time. What the fuck is this? Fucking sinners.
My warlock should be 32. Both her headpiece that she's wearing now, her boots, her chest piece, like they are all fully bubbled out. I just don't have the money or materials to do anything with them.
Bum, bum, ba-dum. Well,
that's pretty much how my hunter goes.
Yeah, about that. I mean, fuck. Just to upgrade Misty's armor, I did a Glimmer Farm run just to buy green helmets to get enough Hardonic essence. Then I went back and did the Glimmer Farming just to pay for the upgrades. So I did 2 full runs to do that, and it worked. I was able to do it, and it was 3 hours of invested time. I don't feel that it was wasted at that point with everything I had done to get this character from 0 to 31. Between the hard work I'd put in and the drops I was lucky enough to get, it was worth it. I don't mind. But now that when I can kind of step back and take a breath, that I don't have the materials, it's a bit like, oh, dude, you should have done this differently. So it's more of me kicking myself.
Aren't we happy enough that basically with the newer weapons that are coming up, we don't have to worry about
Oh, I hope not. I just hope they don't take as long as exotic weapons. So the only way to get... or at least the most prevalent way to get the materials you need to upgrade your weapons and armor and ascend them, regardless of their origin, whether it be from launch or up to something new and current with House of Wolves, is the Prison of Elders, which was revealed in its entirety today via a stream from Bungie as well as multiple press outlets. The reason that I mentioned the press outlets is because the stream was nothing but gameplay. Maybe 3 random questions were answered. Everything else was, I'm dying. Are you guys serious right now? Well, this is awesome. Oh, I'm dead. And it was just that for an hour and a half. Deej and the good professor, and of course the lead designer on the project, whose name escapes me. You'll see them on the screen. Matt, there you go. They got their butts handed to them. But it bears mentioning that Prison of Elders is not the game mode exactly we thought it was going to be. It's everything we thought it to be, plus about 65% more, which, holy shit, blew the doors off. Internet explodes, right? Here's my overview of it. And Grant, you can expand on it if I missed something. This is a weekly reset event, just like the Nightfall or anything else we normally do. So it works very much in the same way a raid works in terms of the reset. There are 4 levels each week. You've got a 28, a 32, a 34, and a 35, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and in the 32, 34, and 35 slots, the 35 is static, as is the 28. The 28, however, is a fully randomized. Random rooms, random enemies, random multipliers each time you go in. That's my understanding. It could be just random each week as far as what the multipliers are. I doubt that. I think it's just random every time you go in. So it's almost like you practice, to be honest with you. And the perks that you get, your drops are very similar to like a rock strike playlist. So it's designed not necessarily to replace it, but as an alternative. In many ways, this is designed to be the alternative to the traditional Nightfall and the traditional raid in every possible way. It gives you tons of options. But the static ones, the 35 one is always the same curated version of Prison of Elders. That's the toughest one. That's the one where you're going to get the most rewards, as it should be. The other two are culled from 4 separate versions of curated Prison of Elders arena runs. And they're going to randomize in terms of the modifiers, but the experience otherwise is, for the most part, curated to ramp up in difficulty to that light level, and they'll randomize which ones are in those 2 slots each week to give you something more to do. Meaning that on any given week, there's totally different ways to experience it, and you still have a more traditional kind of raid experience in that 35 version of the Prison of Elders, which looks to be really cool. And it means that we don't have to run, for example, that hard mode, if you will, once for each character if we don't want to. You can run it once with one character and then run like the 34, which is this very similar drops. Like you still get the cores and you still get the etheric light, with that,
right?
But just not as much. So you could run that with the other 2 characters, or honestly, you should run that with all 3 characters once they're 34s every week, and then run the 35 at least once if you can. And then everything else is just for fun and to get drops instead of strikes. Because I hate doing strikes over and over and over again anymore. That'll be something to do, and then when I get tired of that, I'll go back to strikes because they'll be new again. There's variety in the fucking game again. But from the outset, if you watch the stream, that's really all you know. Because very few other things were mentioned, aside from the fact that you walk in, the prison warden tells you, hey, you have to go in here and kill these guys. We'll let you in, or you can die, it's up to you, it's fine. And then you go in, and you have these waves with objectives. And one of them is like diffusing mines, which is basically a PvE version of Control. You've got just kill everything. You've got a target like a boss rush at the end of some of these waves. You beat each wave. That's 1 round. Then there's a second round. There's a third round, and then it's all of these different things and none of these things, and it's all blended together, and it looks like so much fun.
Right. It's the I don't know. I think the easiest way that I can really put it is either Bungie knows who I am or something, because they know I just love to take out hordes of enemies, especially when they just keep running at me. And we all know how my kill counters tend to go, so...
Right, and it tends to take the best elements of PvP and the most compelling elements of a raid, combine that with what we traditionally think of as a horde mode, and then unleash it as an endgame content. It is something that we've not really seen before. Just like Destiny itself, it's a conglomerate of many already done, tried and true ideas done the Bungie way. And once it...
Well, and that's what makes it so interesting, because, of course, everybody has been saying, well, where's our raid mode? And how is this that we're not getting a raid for this expansion? Well, this is why. They have the option that they can basically continue to experiment with this game the way that they want to. It's their game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have a very influential part because we are, one, giving them money. I think for them that's, of course, unfortunately the most important part. But number 2, we're the ones that continue to play the game that they are also claiming that they have the most fun with. So in both respects, they do have to kind of keep us happy, if I'm going to be on a grumpy mood more than anything for that point. Well, point in case, though, comes down to the simple fact that you don't need a raid to make something feel fresh, new, and different. And this basically comes into it. There was and yes, I'm going to end up pulling from pretty much any different MMO ever. There was a mode that was introduced by ArenaNet in Guild Wars 2 that had the same kind of idea in this regard. You would step into it, and you would actually go to different parts of history that happened within the Guild Wars universe. You would experience those instances, fight a boss, you had a chance for loot, or you could essentially continue to expand on the stuff that you ended up having, and you basically go from there. The largest thing, though, is that it was an ever-changing experience. And that's basically what I see when all's said and done with the way that they are working this horde mode, if you will. Things will change up. You see Cabal, Vex, Fallen, and Hive all within it.
And different combinations.
And you could easily add on with different races as that goes along, too. Yep. If all of a sudden they introduce a different race, okay, whatever. We could just factor in a new wing. We just program something in that's a little different with a different multiplier. Have fun.
Not to mention that you've also got the possibility of, just like with a Crucible map, you build a new room. And there's endless possibilities here. Plus, it bears mentioning that this, at its core, is being called its own game type. It's called an arena, which could mean a million different things. They could expand on this game mode exponentially. This is the ground floor. And this is something that, this is a rabbit hole I am scared I won't come out of. Because this is where I'm going to be if I want to upgrade all my weapons as quickly as possible. So you better fucking believe, day one, that Tuesday, whoever's there with me, I'm not playing favorites, I'm not playing friends, I gotta jump in, I gotta finish that story. I've gotta do it. And then I gotta go right in, and I gotta start doing this stuff. I gotta get we all have ridiculous amounts of armor and weapons to upgrade, and this is the best way to do it. You get random drops of Nightfall, and yes, you can possibly get it as drops from Trials of Osiris, but this is the place that's designed to give you these upgrade materials. So because of that, it's compelling people to play it. But it's not like a raid in that, oh, I have to do this. It's more like, what do they got? What do they got this time? What do I get to do? And it just seems like so much fun. You know?
Right.
I know for someone like yourself that hasn't had much fun with the raids, which will change once we get to the light level 34. I just want to make that clear. Because we'll go back on raid, and you'll be like, wee, look at this playground, wee, and it'll be great. I almost want Michael Jackson on that. Well, look, wee, I'm in Destiny, yay! Okay, now that we...
Oh my god, never do that again.
That's ignorant. So, this is something this is the gateway to better gear, but also it's something I think a lot of people have been waiting for. And before I touch on everyone else's opinion, there's one thing I want to get out of the way. In the last episode, I promised an internet-breaking thing. Many of you have probably heard this. Maybe none of you have. The press releases that went out today were myriad. They're all over the place. In fact, it's the last thing Deej said in the stream. He's like, look, basically saying, we know he didn't tell you a lot about this, but there's press releases all over the fucking place. Go read them. This is here to show you what we're talking about. That's the conceptual stuff. Go get it. One of the things they talked about, specifically to IGN and Game Informer, they have, exact quote, several raids in the works right now. Meaning that, at a minimum, that means with the huge Comet release, which also may have or may not have gotten a patent filed for it today, which I'm not going to comment on because they did the thing where Dark Below was registered by Blizzard and then they used it with Bungie and who knows. But that being said, that means at a minimum we're looking at 2 raids with that release. And then the original release schedule was 2 small DLCs, the big one, then 2 more small ones. That was going to be Destiny's life cycle, then Destiny 2, which, based upon the amount of content, and then the patches, you can't discount the patches here either. Between just what we've seen in the last, 5, 6, we'll say 6 months because of, from December to now, that's a huge change to the game. We get at least that much more, plus something that's rumored to be as big as the original game. There's going to be so much fucking shit to do. And for those that are like, there's no raid, you'll get your raids. Just be quiet. You'll get them.
Yep.
They're coming. And you don't have to do them. And there will be a time when you're going to have to choose, what raid do I do this week? What would I like to tackle? Because I got to go back into an arena match and get my upgrade materials. Like, you're going to have to pick your battles. No pun intended. This is really cool stuff. So that's really all I know. Grant, did you get any more information out of it? Or Bennett, are you seeing anything? Is anyone seeing stuff I didn't catch?
There was one thing that I noticed that wasn't mentioned, and that's this. Horde modes for me have always just been, they seem monotonous, right? If I have to go wave after wave after wave, I'm just like, fuck it. I'll just, wait until I have a group of OP people and just hang out and kind of pick off the other dudes. There are critical objectives starting in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds cool as shit. It's like Prison of Elders has events. They have public events. It's it's going to be after round 2. Will appear either after wave 1 or wave 2. And apparently the stream had something that include mind diffusing.
Yep.
So capture, basically.
Yeah, it works a lot like Control, almost exactly like Control, except it's one time you capture it once and it's good.
Right. Super cool. I dig it. Break up that monotony of just like, oh, fuck, I just need to go kill things. Okay. No, that's cool. There's not like a point other than, all right. Or the target elimination.
Right. And
VIP kill. That's cool.
And it's something that sometimes you have dual ones and they randomize.
Mm-hmm. Right. And if you don't do it, you don't get it, you wipe.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And each time you reach a win, like a round, you have a checkpoint in that moment to the next round. There's no checkpoint system where I reach round 1 with these guys. I can duplicate the checkpoint. That no longer exists. It's one sitting or nothing at all.
Right.
Until you go back in.
That's good. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
You can't just skip the Gorgons anymore. You have to go through it.
Yep.
Well, it makes you actually have to, do something and not just be like, well, I just went off of the niceness of other people in that regard, which I can't say is a bad thing because I have, of course, taken advantage of it in that regard myself a couple times, but it's the simple fact that you are, 1, earning the gear, but 2, doing it in a fashion that you're not feeling like you're bashing your head against a wall, outside of maybe the level 35 stuff, because we know how hard mode Crota is with killing things.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing where I don't foresee a lot of people going straight to level 35 as level 32s or even level 33s. They're going to try, and it's going to be, I honestly believe it's going to be laughable at first. Like, comically bad. And there's going to be players that'll prove me wrong, and I welcome those individuals. But
Bungie stated at one point that that's why they were not releasing a raid for this expansion, was because they wanted people to level up and, figure shit out instead of just charging straight into the raid.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And this is something where, on one hand, this entire DLC is lessening the grind and increasing it in new and exciting ways. For the next foreseeably 4 to 6 months, which is what we're looking at for a release on Comet, I'm not worried. Because I've got, 8 months of this game under my belt, and I just got a huge kick in my ass to keep playing because I know that everything I earn is useful. Everything I get, from the smallest piece of loot to the biggest piece of loot, all of it is useful. And now I've got the means to upgrade it. I'm going to get brand new stuff. I can do any game type anytime I want for the most part. And this is just kind of the icing on the cake. If I want to feel like OP and just run through shit, I can go straight into level 28 arena mode with Prison of Elders and just clean up shop as a 32.
If you want to wave your OP-ness around?
Exactly. That is correct. If I want to redeem my Shardshank, you are correct. I just want to...
Oh.
Wow.
Yep, that happened.
And on that day, he was asked to file it.
I'm letting you both have it. They were both good.
Okay. Appreciate it. But how do you come back from that? I don't know. But I
end on that note.
Pretty much. But Prison of Elders... It's not a raid killer, it's not a raid replacer, it's an additional shade and flavor to the game that will grow as surely as additional raids do. And there's so much coming to begin with that I'm really curious at how randomized these perks are going to be. For example, in the early parts of the Prison of Elders, all of the buffs apply only to you, not to your enemies. And the hint during the stream was that The opposite was true towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, "Fuck." And there are some
Mhm.
bad buffs, like you have shields. They are much more harder to bring down, but once they're down, they're gone.
Yep.
And then you can only do that third level of health,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh. However, what they didn't say out loud, but I noticed, but when you revive someone or you are resurrected, you get your full shield back, the way you normally would.
Right. Right.
So it's not all bad. And I'm willing to bet that some of the orb triggers, like the orb modifiers, might be a good thing around that buff and things like that.
Mhm.
So my advice to you, Guardians, in this case is level up your most versatile gear quickly, because you'll be needing to change it out quickly in between rounds. As soon as you see the buff, you'll know what build you want. There's going to be conversations that have to be had before you go in. Okay, if we do this, we do. If this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. And you're going to have to learn as you go along. You're going to have basic strategies, and then you're going to have a lot of audibles on the fly, because none of it is pre-planned, except for those 6. And even though there's randomizations within those 6, which is great.
Right. Well, and speaking of things that they decided to, not talk about early on in the stream, because I kind of looked and I'm like, what is Matt wielding? Why does he have a rifle in the one spot, but yet he has a pistol in his hands? What's going on? They kind of brushed this one under the rug, but guys, we're getting sidearms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Dude.
And I would just like to say it, but what did I say? Not but like last week?
Sidearms.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if we had sidearms, more traditional gameplay, where it was like, okay, I'm out of my primary clip, I'm going to switch to my secondary clip real fast.
Oh, I got one word or 3 letters for you. SMG. Give me a fucking SMG, please.
Yep.
And
if you don't, it's not going to be valid in Crucible. You won't be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to if you want to make it something that's viable for all play. There it is. There's your SMG. It's Bungie doing their goddamn slow roll, man. They're slow rolling it. They're teaching us how to play with this stuff, and then they're gonna build on it.
And that was the thing that I was talking about just the other day. Was I think that if they had all these game modes introduced in the game day one, the mainstream gamer, the mainstream shooter fan, even myself maybe, at the time may have been off-put by it. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been too much to buy it. And I think they did a really good job of saying, here's what this game is, here's the basic ideas behind it. And they're slowly rolling out additions and enhancements, and on top of that, listening to community feedback, giving it a decent economy, pushing things forward, and just... On one hand, I am elated that I know I'm going to be able to play this game for years to come, and then there's that part of me that goes, oh my god, I'm going to play this game for years to come. We're not even a year into this fucking thing yet, and I'm like, this is it. New games are coming out that look amazing, and I want to play them. But right now, I'm just like, I gotta play Destiny. I don't want to.
Like, I've got 3 characters that I gotta feed.
Yep.
Yeah, I can only do like concentrate on one thing at a time. Like if I'm
We
playing
know you're
Destiny,
terrible
that's
at
all I'm
multitasking.
playing.
It's
I can't
okay.
distract myself with other stuff.
Bloodborne. I just got a coupon from GameStop because my birthday's coming up, and it's like 20% off a used game. I could probably get Bloodborne for like $35-40, and I'm probably going to snag it, but I can't promise I'm going to actually play it this year.
Well, I picked up both Dragon Age Inquisition and Shadows of Mordor. They were both half off, so I paid like the equivalent of what you would pay for one game for both of them. I don't particularly like the combat in Shadows of Mordor. It's really wonky to me, and Dragon Age Inquisition, like, as much as I love the other 2 games, just did not hold my interest like Destiny has.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the social stuff. We've said it before. Destiny is the game that I don't tell the story of how they put Fogoth down in the summoning pit. I tell the story about how the three of us, the first time they had that as the Nightfall with Arcburn, we killed the fucker with patience and time by hanging back. The first time I noticed that perk and just murdered him. And how that was the first time a Nightfall for me was accessible. It wasn't about that Nightfall. It wasn't about that strike. It was about the three of us coming together and doing that. And me feeling like I had leaped over a hurdle that I had in that game because my friends helped me out. Destiny is the most social game I've ever played. Very MMO in that respect. Like, I finally understand what all my MMO friends were always saying, like, oh, I get it now. And
yeah, it wasn't ever for, like, because I hated, soloing in EverQuest, for example, was impossible. Soloing in World of Warcraft just became monotonous. But when you got everybody, you got a group together to go do something, or you got, your whole guild together to go do a raid, that was the fun part, because you were with everybody else. You weren't just, like, chilling by yourself, not talking to anybody.
Exactly. Right? And again, just to remind everybody, we're 8-9 months into this thing. We're just getting started. The podcast is just getting started, and we're going to keep talking. We may or may not have a special episode sometime before next week, depending upon how awesome this is. There is a video coming out this Friday that's an overview of the entire DLC that Bungie's releasing. Whether it's 30 seconds or 4 minutes, I don't know. But we're going to check it out, and if there's anything worth talking about, you can be sure that we'll be here. Otherwise, we'll see you sometime next week, probably around this time. But on behalf of the entire podcast, I'm Grindhead Jim, and I'm not Morgan Freeman, so I'm not even going to try and do his voice. But we do grind all day, every day in Destiny. Take care, guys. Cheers.